Quentin Tarantino plays Jenny, so this is his excuse to say that word, that horrible word, over and over and over again. Hello there, hello, my name is Ned, and this is Lee. I'm Lee, and this is Ned, that's what I just said. And today we watched Pulp Fiction. Let's get into it. Watched Quentin Tarantino's 1994 movie Pulp Fiction, which lasts for 2 hours 34 minutes and could have been less than half that time if it wasn't for all the talking and talking and talking and talking. Well, yeah, you do get a lot of dialogue in a Quentin Tarantino movie. Oh, so much unnecessary daddle. Well, I mean, it's a classic. It's long. It's wordy. Right, let's go through the movie. Right, fine. So the movie opens up at the end. Well, not quite at the end, but this movie is told out of sequence and it works well. It's a bit unnecessary. Well, I remember when Pulp Fiction first came out and I watched it and we all watched it, everyone in 1994, 95. We all loved it, we all thought it was genius. Well, you're all wrong. Well, no, we're not. It's a classic. It's overblown. So we open up in a diner, right? And Pumpkin and Honey Bunny, those are the character names. Don't blame us. That's how they're known in the film. It's Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer. They're speaking about robberies they've performed because they're robbers and they don't want to rob banks. They say it's too risky. They have been robbing liquor stores and 7-Elevens, places like that, but again, they're getting too risky in this day and age. 30 years ago, yeah, well, it was this day and age back then, right? Fine, old nan, right? So they decide, let's rob this place, let's rob this diner. Yeah, they say there'll be no have-a-go heroes, there'll be no worries about anyone with a weapon, there'll be no security guards, it's just people eating their breakfast or their lunch, and they'll just give over any of their cash and all their wallets. So that's what they do. They jump up on the table and they start shouting and swearing and telling everyone to be cool, this is a robbery. And then the music starts. Yeah, and I have to say, this Quentin Tarantino, not Quentin, yeah. Quentin Leap, no, not Quentin, no. Quentin Tarantino, yeah. Quentin Inventino, no, Quentin Tarantino. He directed this movie. Right, well, I have to say, it's a bit nuts, this movie. However, the music is excellent. Do you like it? Yeah, great soundtrack. Right, okay. A big thing about Pulp Fiction and a lot of Quentin Tarantino's movies, especially back in the day, was the music. He made great soundtrack choices. Reservoir Dogs, Jackie Brown has a fantastic soundtrack. Sing it! I'm not going to sing it, but it's got great songs in it. In Pulp Fiction, these tracks all hit the album charts hard because they're full of great songs. The next thing we see is John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson driving in a car. This is Vincent Vega and Jules Winfield. And they're driving along, they're going to an apartment to see someone. Yeah, at first we've got like 6 hours of chat. It's not 6 hours, but they do talk a lot in the car when they're driving and when they're parked up. And then they get out of the car and they go into the apartment block and they're still talking. In the car they're talking about European things because Vincent Vegas just did to hear it. And he says they put mayonnaise on French fries and they drink beer in the cinema and they call quarter pounder with cheese or Royale with cheese. And then they get into the apartment block and they're talking about a foot massage and someone who entered a window and giving his grandmother a foot massage. And then they're talking about a toilet, what a toilet is. You know, like a TV show toilet. They go into that in depth. and they're so not talking. You could argue that it's all necessary. You can argue all you want, you'd be wrong. Eventually they go inside the apartment that they're visiting, and there are 3 young men in there. One sitting in a chair, Brett, yep, Brett. One lying on a couch, we don't get his name I don't think. And one standing by the door. That is Marvin. Oh yeah, because apparently these guys have something that belongs to Vince and Jules' boss, Marcellus Wallace. He's as skinny did. He has. They have a briefcase that belongs to him. So Jules and Vince are here to retrieve the suitcase, and they find it, and they talk a bit more. Well, Jules does. Vincent just stands and looks cool. Jules drinks the guy's Sprite and eats his burger. What kind of burger? A Big Mac? No, it's not a Big Mac. It's a big Kahuna burger. Oh yeah, that is a tasty burger. And then he recites a passage from the Bible, which has become very well known among a certain age group because of this movie. Ezekiel 25:17. The task of the righteous man is to set on all sides direct. Right, okay, we're not going into the whole thing. And you will know my name is the Lord, when I lay my vengeance upon you. Yeah, that's the closing line. And then they shoot Brett. Yeah, because they've already shot the guy on the couch. Yeah, they don't shoot Marvin, no. And then the scene changes and they're in a bar, and they see a guy called Bruce Willis. Yeah, but he's not playing Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis is playing a boxer named Butch. Yeah. And Butch is taking a big wedge of money from Marcellus Wallace. And Marcellus Wallace is telling him, take this money and you go down in the 5th. So basically, he's paying him off to take a dive in his next boxing match that very night, I think. Yeah. And Butch takes the money and he says, I go down in the 5th. He actually says, now ask us down in the 5th. Well, right, okay. After their conversation, Butch approaches the bar and Vincent Vega is standing in the bar. Yeah, do you notice he's wearing something different? He's wearing like a t-shirt and shorts. Yeah, he is. And so is Jules. They've both come into the bar together. Jules has gone over to speak to Marcellus Wallace, and Vincent Vega is standing at the bar and he's eyeballing Butch like he really doesn't like him. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, we never really get to the bottom of that. I guess he just taken a dislike to him for some reason. Yeah. After that, we see another scene where Vincent Vega is going to take Marcellus Wallace's wife out for a date. Not a date, well, not actually a date, but it's like a date. He's just keeping her company while Marcellus Wallace is out of the country. Listen, you know this because they still got out it before they went into that apartment for about 30 minutes. Well, Vincent is back in his suit. Another suit? Yep. And he is heading towards Mia Wallace, who is Marcellus Wallace's wife. On his way, he stops to buy drugs. Yeah, a really bad drug that starts with H. Yeah. He buys a lot of money's worth of this drug. Yeah. Bad stuff. It is bad stuff. But he takes it, and then he goes and he drives, and he goes into the house, and eventually she is ready. She comes downstairs and she says, let's go. So they go to this place called Jack Rabbit's Inns, and it's a 1950s style diner, and they've got like Buddy Holly, and they've got like Narlin and Rowe, and who's the guy? Really big show. Really big show. It's all the staff look like 1950s movie and music stars and TV stars. Yeah, it's quite cool, that a little bit weird. Mia Wallace orders a $5 shake. Yeah, I don't really get that bit. He makes a big deal, Vince, and he's like, how did you order a $5 shake? Are they putting bourbon in it? Is it a crazy special shake? Yeah, well, in 1994, $5 would have been a lot of money for a shake. It's cheap now. It is cheap for a shake in most places. So, thank you, Brexit. Yeah. Well, this is an American movie, but okay. Also, on the way into the restaurant, Mia, is that her name? Yeah, Mia Wallace. She says, come on, Daddy-o, don't be and she draws a shape in the air. Oh yeah, she's like that, and little dotted cartoon lines appear. Yeah. What does that mean? Don't be a rectangle. Yeah. No, it's in the 1950s and 60s, people would say, don't be a square. Meaning, don't be uncool. Be like us, be cool. Ah. So how does she draw a rectangle? So they're sitting there eating their burgers, drinking their shake. Yeah. And guess what? There are a million more words spoken in this scene. That's not that bad. They decide they want to dance. Well, Mia Wallace decides she wants to dance, and they're having a dance competition that night. Yeah, I'm guessing they do this every night. I don't know, maybe. But they go up, and Vincent Vega and Mia Wallace dance, and they win. Yeah, it's a long dance scene with Mia Wallace's bare feet. Quentin. After they win the dance contest, they go back to Mia Wallace's house. Vincent Vega is worried because he thinks he might be tempted to be romantic with Marcellus Wallace's wife, and he knows he can't do that or he will end up in a bad way. Yeah, pretty much. So he goes to the bathroom, washes his face, tries to sober up a little bit, and he's speaking to himself saying, you just have to go home, say goodnight, thank you for a lovely night, I'm going to go home. Yeah, and while he's in the bathroom, she is wearing his coat, and she finds some drugs in his pocket, and she thinks it's a drug that begins with the letter C. But it's not, it's a drug that begins with the letter H, and she snorts it, and she collapses, and her nose starts bleeding, and she almost passes away. Drugs kill. Vincent Vega comes out and finds her, close to death, and he panics, obviously, because A, these are his drugs that have caused this. 2, this is Marcellus Wallace's wife, so he's really scared. So he picks her up, takes her into the car, and drives her to his drug dealer friend's house. Yeah, friends are that strong. Well, you know. When they get there, the dealer is very reluctant to help, but Vince explains who she is, and he explains that he'll have to tell Marcellus Wallace who sold him this stuff unless the dealer helps. Yeah, so the dealer gets his little a little needle for in the fridge. It's like do you remember Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows? Yeah, we just watched that recently. Yeah. Well, they use a little adrenaline shot to bring him back at some point. Spoiler! And they do it by stabbing it in his heart. So they do, that's right. And it's the same here. They have to do that very thing to Mia Wallace. They draw a big circle on her chest with a Sharpie. Yeah. And Vincent Vega plunges a needle right into her heart. And she comes straight back to life, doesn't she? Yeah, thankfully, it worked. Whew. After that, they both go home, they go their separate ways, and they say, let's never speak of this again. There is so much in this movie that could never be spoken about in the first place. It's too long. It's not, it's a classic. After this, we see a little scene with Christopher Walken. Yeah. It's like a Christopher Walken impression. Yeah. Very good. Well, Christopher Walken comes in as a soldier and he's speaking to this little boy. And he's telling him all about this watch that was his great-grandfather's, and then his grandfather's, and then his father's, and now it was going to be the little boy's. And the little boy is Butch, the boxer. Yeah, and I wonder if he kept it in the same place as his granddad and his dad. No, see, they were all in wars. The World War and Korean War and Vietnam War, and they had to hide the watch. Some of them had to hide the watch up their bottom. Oh, that's cold. So we find out this is a memory, but it's also a dream. Butch wakes up, he sits upright, he's covered in sweat, and he's ready to go into the ring for his big fight. Yeah, You go down in the fifth? Yeah, but he doesn't. We don't see the fight, we just hear what happens, and Butch goes crazy and beats the other man, and the other man dies in the ring. Yeah, he needs to relax, this ditch. Yeah, he does. So he goes on the run, he jumps out of a window from the arena and gets into a cab that's been waiting. Yeah, and Naria Davalos, the taxi driver, she has a little talk with him. Actually, it's another scene with like an hour of talking. It's not an hour, but okay, there's quite a lot of this could have been cut. Right, so we go back to Butch's apartment. He goes in and sees his girlfriend, who is a little bit weird. Do you think so? She's eccentric. Let's say that, eccentric. Okay, let's say that. And he has a big long chat with her. And then the next morning they wake up, they're in this hotel room. Notel, or is it a motel? Yeah, I don't know the difference. But they're in this room, they wake up, and Butch says, did you get everything from the apartment? And she says, yes. And he says, where's my watch? Where's my father's watch? And she says, oh, it's there. And he said, is it? And she says, yes. And he goes nuts and snatches the place up. And then she says, oh, no, it's not there. So, winning. So he has to go back to his apartment to find the watch. He sneaks into his apartment because he knows Marcellus Wallace's people will be looking for him because he's ripped off Marcellus Wallace for a big sum of money. Yeah, and guess what? He makes it into the apartment unscathed. He does. He gets there. He goes upstairs and he decides to make some little, well, I guess you would call them Pop-Tarts. Yeah, delicious, but it's like store brand Pop-Tarts. Maybe they couldn't get the rights. But anyway, while he's waiting for them to pop, he notices something he didn't notice when he first walked into his own kitchen. A gigantic weapon. Yeah, a giant pistol with a giant silencer. And he picks it up and he figures out whoever owns it is in his bathroom having a two. Well, we don't. The door opens and John Travolta is there. And they look at each other, and John Travolta has obviously been sent to his apartment and Casey's there to take him out. But Butch takes him out. Yep, that's the last we'll see of John Travolta. Oh no, it's not, because they've got this pretentious way of filming it and all out of sequence. He'll be back, don't worry. So, Butch gets his watch, he leaves the weapon behind, gets back in his car, and he's feeling pretty good about things. Yeah, just killed a guy last night, killed a guy this morning, feeling good. Yeah, but he is driving along, singing a song, Fortune Cutting Kangaroo. Yeah. And while he's driving, he stops at a red light, and people are walking past on the little, and people are crossing the road at this red light, and one of the people is Marcellus Wallace. Marcellus Wallace! He's getting like donuts and coffee or something. Yeah, he is. And he turns around and he sees Butch, and Butch sees him. And Butch stamps on the gas and drives forward, ramming into Marcellus Wallace. It's pretty violent. It is. It takes a few minutes, but eventually they both come to because they're both sort of knocked out by this. Both covered in blood. Marcellus Wallace sees Butch getting out of his car across the street. He pulls out his own pistol and shoots. Mrs. Butch just hits an innocent woman who's just there to help. Yeah, sorry, Mrs. And then there's a bit of a foot chase, but they're both limping, so it's not a high-speed chase. But they're both limping along, dragging their feet, and eventually Butch takes cover inside this pawn shop. Yeah, and the pawn shop owner is like this hillbilly looking guy, and he's like, hey, careful now. And then Marcellus Wallace bursts in, and Butch starts beating him up, and he's going to shoot him. Yeah, he gets his pistol off him, and he's going to shoot him. But then the shopkeeper, Maynard, he pulls out a shotgun and says, hold it right there, mister. and then he knocks out Butch, and Marcellus Wallace was almost unconscious anyway, so he just fades into consciousness as we see Maynard calling a friend of his Zed. Yeah. Uh-oh. When Butch and Marcellus come to, they are being sprayed with water to make them come to wake them up. Maynard and Zed, who looks like he's... Is he a cop? I don't know if he's a cop. I think he's a security guard. The patch on his arm says security guard, but he wears like a silver badge, like a star. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Power trip notch? Yeah, a bit of a power trip. And then Zed says, go and wake up the Gimp. Yeah. This movie is a bit weird. Well, they open this door, and behind this door is a box. And they open this box, and inside this box is a man, I presume, dressed head to toe in leather bondage gear with studs and zips and chains all over it. This is a Gint. This is a Gint. No, I'm not the Gint. And what happens next is not really for your eyes. It's not really for anyone's eyes. Well, no. Decide to take Marcellus into the back room. And Butch is... Well, they're both tied to chairs. So they leave Butch tied to a chair. They take Marcellus into the back room. And they take his trousers off. And they do things to him. They leave Butch in the front room with the Gimp, who is chained up by the neck and his mouth zipped up. That was a bad idea. Yeah, you'll see how in a minute. Yeah, while the other two men are doing things to Marcellus Wallace. But Butch is a professional boxer, and he's pretty strong, and he's determined, so he smashes out of the chair. He manages to loosen his restraints just enough to break the chair, get out, untie himself, and he gives the Gimp a big left hook. Yeah, knocks him out straight away. And then he starts to make his escape. Yet then he gets upstairs and he thinks, oh, I can't really leave Marcellus like that, even though he tried to shoot me a minute ago. Yeah, I mean, part of him must have been thinking, maybe if I help him, it'll stop him from coming after me for the rest of my life. Yeah. So he grabs a diesel that and then thinks, oh no, that's not good. And he looks around because it's a punch up, and he grabs a chainsaw and he says, no, that's not good. And then he decides, oh look at that. No, in the film. Alright, yeah. And he finds a samurai sword. He takes that down off the wall and he goes back downstairs to the basement, to the front room and the back room, and he opens up the door to the back room and he uses the sword and he takes out Maynard quickly, and then he's threatening Zed, who has backed up into a wall, and Zed can see his own little handgun, his own pistol, and he keeps going to go for it. And Butch says, yeah, go for it, go on, I dare you. But then Butch hears, step aside, Butch. That was pretty good. He hears that from behind him, and it's Marcellus Wallace, who has managed to stand up and grab the shotgun. And he fires at Zed. Yeah, right between the legs. Yeah. And Zed goes down, as you would. Yeah. And he's in agony, and Marcellus Wallace says, well, I'm going to get some of my friends to come over and basically torture this creep. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Butch says, and what about us? And Marcellus Wallace basically says, if you leave town right now, that's it. Our debt is settled. Me and you, we're done. Yeah, so it's a good job he went back, really. Butch heads out of the pawn shop. He realises his car is all smashed up, so he finds the car keys from Zed. Well, the keys from Zed. Turns out it's for a big motorbike. It's not a bike, it's a charter. Well, yeah. He goes home to his weird girlfriend. See, she's weird. Okay. He goes home to his weird girlfriend, picks her up and says, let's go, we have to go right now. Leave everything behind. Let's go. And she says, whose bike is this? And he says, it's a charter lady. And she says, whose chopper is this? And he says, Zed. And she said, who's Zed? And he said, Zed's dead, lady. Zed's dead. And then North Cool music. Yeah. So I think that would have been the end if the film was in chronological order. Yeah. I don't know. I think it would be. After this, we're back to Ezekiel 25:17. The task of the righteous man is to set it not right. Okay. So we're back to Brett being shot by Vincent and Jules in the apartment. But after they shoot him, another guy appears, a fourth guy appears from one of the bedrooms, and he has got his own weapon, and he starts blasting at Jules and at Vincent, and he says, die you. Well, I won't swear. No. But, well, he doesn't. Does he not? No, he just says, die you and others. Does he? Sounds unlikely in a Quentin Tarantino movie. I don't remember. Anyway, he comes out and he shoots at them both, and he misses them both completely. Yeah, it's quite funny. They look at each other, and then they look at themselves to make sure they're okay, and then they just open fire on him and take him out instantly. Yeah. So there's only one survivor in the apartment other than Vincent and Jules, and it's Marvin, who's been sitting by the door freaking out. Yeah, so they decide, let's take him to see Narcellus. Yep, they take him, get him in the car, and they drive along. But in the car, they're having another conversation, another big chat. More words. Huh. Yeah. And at one point, Vincent turns around in his car seat. Vincent and Jules are in the front of the car. Marvin is in the back. And at some point, while Vincent and Jules are arguing about divine intervention, Vincent turns around in his seat to say to Marvin, what's your opinion on it? Marvin starts to say, well, I don't really have an opinion. Yeah, and then Vincent Vega's gun just goes off and shoots Marvin in the head. Yeah, that's the end of Marvin. So now they have to take a detour. They phone up this guy Jimmy. They go to Jimmy's house, and Jimmy is a racist. He's definitely a racist. He says the N-word as many times as he can. Because, do you know why? Because A, Quentin Tarantino loves words in general. 2, Quentin Tarantino loves the N-word. Well, I don't know about that. And 3, Quentin Tarantino plays Jimmy. So this is his excuse to say that word, that horrible word, over and over and over again. You might be right. I am. Classic. It is a classic. But anyway, they're there because they need to dispose of Marvin's body and they need to clean up the car. Yeah, so Jules makes a phone call and this guy comes along and he's the Wolf. Mr. Wolf. Yeah, Winston the Wolf. Yeah. So they spend a while preparing to clean up, and then they spend a while cleaning up, and they get rid of the body and they get rid of all the blood, and they talk while they're doing it. They chat and chat and chat and chat, and then they just drive off. Yeah, but they go to a scrapyard so that the car can be destroyed, so there's no evidence. Yeah, makes sense, yeah. After that, Mr. Wolf says goodbye. I'll leave you guys to it. And it's because of this scene that Vincent and Jules are in t-shirt and shorts now. Yeah, because their clothes are covered in blood, so they had to get washed and changed, and Jenny gave them his weirdo clothes. Yeah. So then Vince and Jules decide, let's share a cab, let's get some breakfast. It's like 8:30 in the morning or something. Yeah. So they get a taxi and they go to a diner. And guess who's there? Pumpkin and Honey Dunny. It's the start of the movie again. Ha! Pumpkin and Honey Dunny stand up and start shouting while Vincent and Jules talk a lot about pigs and about dogs and about walking the earth and all sorts of so many words. I do agree the film could have been a bit shorter. Like an hour and a half. Well, I don't know about that. Anyway, Pumpkin and Honey Bunny get up. They start robbing the diner. They take money from the cash register. They take wallets and jewellery, I think, from all the people in the diner who are enjoying their breakfast or their brunch. And they get to Jules' table. Now, Vincent has gone to the toilet. He loves doing that. He goes to the toilet a lot in this film. But it's quite refreshing though, because nobody in movies usually goes to the toilet at all. That's a good point, that's true. Yeah, I know. Right. Pumpkin and Honey Bunny approach Jules. Jules says, here's my wallet, just have it. But then the robbers notice the briefcase. Yeah. And Jules says, I can't give you it. Sorry, Ringo. Because Tim Roth is English. He calls him Ringo. Yeah. And he says, you better give me it. I'm going to shoot you. You better give me it. But Jules opens the briefcase for him and shows him what's inside it. Yeah, what is it? We never know. We don't get to see. We just see a golden glow. It might be gold, right? It might be glow. No. Another theory is that because Marcellus Wallace has got a plaster on the back of his neck, it might be his soul in the suitcase, which he has sold to the devil, and he had to buy it back. Huh? That's just one theory. It's based on a legend that your soul can be taken out from the back of your neck and sold to say what? Never mind that. I'm sure that's not the case. I did it as knowing this Quentin guy. Well, I don't know. Right. So Jules pulls out his own weapon secretly and he points it at Tim Roth, and it leads to a little standoff. And then eventually Jules says, listen, take all the money, take all my money. There's $1,200 there. You can have it. Take it. Both of you go and leave and go about your business. Yeah, so they do. And Vincent Digger's saying, if you give this guy $1,200, I'll shoot him myself. He's ready to take them both out. Yeah, but the robbers leave the restaurant, and then Vincent and Jules leave the restaurant, and that's it. End credits. Seriously, that's it. Don't wait for anything else. That's it. It's about 2 hours of talking, heavy wordage, heavy text, heavy dialogue, and nearly about 20 minutes of people shooting each other, and then some good music, and that is it. That is this classic. It is a classic. If you say so. Yeah, I do say so. Well, listen, that's Pulp Fiction. I can tell you weren't that keen on it. The good bits are good. Both of them. Right. But you won't watch it again. It's so long. If they do a little edited version where it's just like, this good bit, this good bit, this little bit of dialogue, not as much as this, because that is crazy amounts. It's so unnecessary. That's my problem. The dialogue, most of it is so unnecessary, and just like, I'll say this to sound cool, I'll write this in the script to sound cool, oh, and I'll write this to sound really cool, and I'll write this because it's the only time I can get away with saying that horrible word. Right, okay, well that's Pulp Fiction. We're going to go. We'll see you soon, okay? Yeah, not another Quentin Tarantino in the next week, please. No, we will watch more Quentin Tarantino movies. Not yet, any the Drake. Yeah, they get... You'll like some of them. Right, okay. But, do you want to say a bit? Yeah, please hit like, please subscribe, hit the little bell, whatever that does. It's like, it lets people know when we put a new video up. Every Wednesday at 5 PM UK time. Well, yeah, we know that, but they don't know that. Now they do. So please hit like, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Good day. You'll know my name is Lord. No, let's not do that.